Okay, good morning, class.
Good morning, ma'am.
Okay, how is everyone doing? Ricky?
I'm fine po, ma'am. How about you po?
Oh, that's great to hear. I'm fine as well, Ricky. Thank you for asking. Now, I welcome you to my English class. Today, we are teaching grammar from rules. But before we proceed to our lesson for today, let us do a short recap of what we had in the last meeting. If In the last meeting, we discussed about verb, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Great! Now, kindly read the following sentences that I will present on the next slide and tell me what was the verb used in the sentences. I will do the first sentence and then the rest would follow, okay? Number one, Jacob stood on his tiptoes. The verb used is stood. Next, Ricky.
She opened the door. The verb used is the word opened.
Very good. Continue, Ricky.
Okay po. Grace went to the market. The verb is the word went.
Good. The dog bark. The verb use is bark. On the last, Monica eats her dinner quickly. Eats. Therefore, based from that, what is verb? Ricky, what is verb?
Verbs are the action words in a sentence that describe what the subject is doing po, ma'am.
Very good. Any question or clarification about our previous lesson?
None so far po, ma'am.
Good job. I'm happy that you understand our lesson last meeting. So let's give ourselves a round of applause. Before we move on to our lesson, here are our objectives for today. At the progress of the lesson, the student will be able to first, Ricky, kindly read.
Identify the types of multi-word verbs.
Next.
The second one is to recognize the pattern of the multi-word verbs.
Thank you, Ricky. On the third one, differentiate transitive and intransitive phrasal verb and use multi-word verbs in a sentence. Now, I want you to look at these sentences that I will present and observe each sentence. Are we clear? Now, kindly read all the sentences presented and then observe them carefully. Okay? Yes. Number one, James patted Anna on the other side of the room and bore down on her. Number two, the teacher gave her the permission to go out. Number three, Ricky, kindly read.
Carry on quietly with your work until the substitute teacher arrives.
Number four, Ricky.
Her first novel blew me away.
Thank you. And lastly, they hope the new management will be able to carry the project forward. In these five sentences, what have you observed, Ricky?
I observe, ma'am, that there are words or phrases in the sentence that are being underlined po.
Great. These underlined words are, let's move on to the next slide. Number one, bore down on, which means move towards. Number two, go out, which means to literally go or was allowed to go out. Number three, carry on or to continue. Number four, blew away or to impress greatly. And lastly, carry forward, which means make something progress. In the underlined words, Ricky, which of the following are verbs, adverbs, and preposition?
The verbs in the underlined words are bore, carry, go, and blew, while the adverbs are down, off, away, forward, and the preposition are out and on.
Very good. These words are what we call Multi-word verbs. Again, Ricky.
Multi-word verbs, ma'am.
These are very common in spoken and informal English, and they indicate actions as well. Multi-word verbs are made up of a verb and a particle or sometimes two particles. These particles or words are from different grammatical categories. It consists of verb, adverb, or preposition. Let's look at this example. James patted Anna on the other side of the room and bore down on her. Notice that the adverb or preposition directly comes after the verb. As Ricky mentioned earlier, bore is verb, down is adverb, and on is preposition. Let's try another example. The teacher gave her the permission to go out. Ricky, would you like to try? What do you think go out is consist of?
Ma'am, the go out is consists of the verb and a preposition. Go is the verb and out is the preposition po.
Very good. Again, go is verb and out is preposition. Again, as I said earlier, multi-word verbs or phrasal verb, it's the combination rather of the traditional verb and the adverb or preposition that creates a different meaning, or could mean the same, the same thing, or literally mean the same. Okay, there are a lot of multi-word verbs and sometimes called a phrasal verb in English, and it's really difficult to learn them all. Because there are three reasons that I will present to you today. These reasons are first, there are a lot of them. Sometimes you are exposed with these phrasal verbs that we didn't notice that they are phrasal verbs and we are so used with using them. Next, there are a lot of rules to follow. And lastly, it has multiple meanings. It could mean literally or figuratively, which we needed to be memorized or to be familiar with so we don't confuse the meaning of it when we use it in a sentence. Sometimes it can be quite easy to guess the meaning. For example, Carl pick up the pencil. The underlined word literally means to pick. Maybe the pencil fell down and so Carl would pick the pencil. But other multi-word words, take note, other multi-word verbs are difficult to guess and you should look them up in a dictionary or how it is used in the sentence. In this example, the example number 2, Anna picked up Mandarin easily when she lived in China. This does not mean that Anna picked up the language because the language fell down. No, it's not like that. But instead, pick up here means she acquired or learned the language best and easily when she stayed or lived in China. Do we follow?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Now that we are presented with these sentences, there are two types of multi-word verbs, and these are the separable and non-separable. Let's go first with separable. Ricky, kindly read the meaning.
Separable. The verb and particle can be apart or together and the meaning doesn't change.
Okay, to explain that further, let's take this example. Number 1, Carl is going to pick up the children. Pick up is the multi-word verb. Next, Carl is going to pick the children up. Still, pick up is the phrasal verb. But the difference is the direct object is placed between the verb and the preposition or the adverb. Take note of that rule, okay? And do note that even though in the first sentence the multi-word verbs is together and on the second sentence multi-word verbs are apart, the meaning is still the same. It does not change. Earlier, I had mentioned that the preposition or adverbs comes directly after the verb, but take note, There are times that preposition or adverb are placed after the object or the receiver of the action. Let's take this example. Can you turn it down, please? And can you turn down it, please? Which do you think is correct?
First sentence.
Very good. The first one is the correct one. Why? Because when we use the pronoun it and it is placed, I'm sorry, because when we use the pronoun it should be in between or placed in between the verb and the particle, which could be either an adverb or a preposition. While in the non-separable verb, which is the complete opposite of the separable verb, the verb and the particle cannot be separated. Let's take this example to further understand it. Number one, who looks after the baby when you are at work? And who looks the baby after? The second sentence didn't make sense, right? Because who looks the baby after? It's incomplete. We cannot understand it. While who looks after the baby when you are at work, it means that someone is asking to who would look after the baby when someone is at work. Okay? And that is because non-separable again are verb as it is called, it suggests that non-separable, it is not possible to separate them in a sentence. Now, after learning the structure of these multi-word verbs, let us now move on to how they are used and placed in a sentence correctly. Ricky, kindly read the definition of transitive verb.
Sure, ma'am.
Thank you.
Transitive verb. These verbs have a direct object, and if there's no direct object, it can't be understood.
Okay, when we say direct object, it is a noun or a noun phrase referring to a person or the thing that receives the action. Again, what is a direct object, Ricky?
It is a noun or a noun phrase that refers to a person or thing that receives the action.
Very good. Let's take this sentence as an example. I really look up to your father. Who does the person look up to, Ricky?
Father po, ma'am.
Very good. Now, the father is the direct object in the sentence because it answers the who. Now, look up is the verb phrase or the multi-word verb. While in the intransitive verb, rather, it has the complete opposite as well because intransitive verb has no direct object and can stand alone. Take note, even though it does not have a direct object, it can still stand alone and the sentence still makes sense, okay? Look at this example. She grew up in Spain. We understand that she grew up in Spain, but she could also say she grew up, and we could still understand that she grew up, okay? Remember that you cannot have a direct object after an intransitive verb. Do we follow?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, for better understanding, let's try to do this activity I prepared for you. I have here a list of multi-word verbs and you will construct a sentence using them. Let me take the first one. Big up. He bigs himself up all the time. Again, big up. He bigs himself up all the time. Number two, Ricky.
Please bear with me a moment while I finish this email.
Good. Okay. Number three, pull out. The traffic was so bad that it took me ages to pull out. Number four, log in. I had forgotten my password and I couldn't log in. We felt that mini heart attack when we couldn't log in our Facebook account, don't we?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and the last number, Ricky. Wake up.
I wake up at 7 a.m.
Do you really wake up at 7 a.m., Ricky?
Sometimes, ma'am. Lately, yes, I do.
Yeah, because, Sleep is really, really, really nice for our body. Okay, nonetheless, now let's try to identify the transitive and intransitive verb in the next activity. I will present you sentences, and you are tasked to say whether it's a transitive verb or intransitive verb. If it's a transitive verb, you say letter T. And if it's intransitive verb, you say letter I. Do we follow?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Okay. Number one, Ricky, kindly read the answer.
My car broke down on the way to work. I think it's intransitive
Okay,
verb.
let's find out if your answer is correct. It's correct. Intransitive, Ricky. Okay, I'm going to do number two. I'm looking for my keys. It is transitive. Number three, Ricky.
Number three, you should put on a jacket because it's cold outside. It's transitive too, ma'am.
Very good, right, Ricky. Therefore, continue to number four.
Okay, the number four, can you sit down, please? I think it's intransitive po.
Good job. And lastly, please take your shoes off before entering the house. It's transitive, letter T. Okay, you deserve a round of applause, class. Very good. You did a great job today. But before we end our class, any clarification or questions that you want to address?
None so far, ma'am. Thank you for
Okay,
teaching, ma'am.
I'm sorry. Okay, great. Thank you, class, for actively listening and participating to our discussion. Have a great day ahead of you, and you may leave the meeting now.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a great day too.
Thank you as well.